Good afternoon and welcome to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission meeting for Monday, November 20th. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioners Asatrian?
Present.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Present.
Wu?
Present.
President Michaels.
Present.
The agenda for the November 20th, 2017 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, November 17, 2017. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Good afternoon, President Michaels, Commissioners. Mr. Bulanikian will join us in a little bit, but in the meantime, I just wanted to go over the upcoming council agenda items. On December 5th, we have a report regarding state ESG funding for homeless services and approval of the Duke Majan conceptual design, which Commission looked at last month. On December 12th, we have a report regarding Measure H direct funding for the Glendale Continuum of Care and Measure H funding for workforce development. That's it.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is item 3, Commission staff comments.
No comments.
Here's there's no comments.
Well, when do we discuss the communication we received from the resident about the park? Would it be now, or is there a different time during the meeting?
President Michaels, Commissioner Asatrian, because the item was not agendized, we wouldn't be able to have a discussion. If somebody wanted to make a brief comment, that is possible, but other than that, we could, if President Michaels or Commissioners would like, we could always agendize it at a future meeting.
Responded back to that resident saying, unfortunately, we weren't able to put it on the agenda for this meeting, that we would discuss it with staff, that we definitely are concerned, and would be in touch with her well before the next commission meeting.
Okay.
But as I understand it, we can't talk specifically about that issue.
But can we put it on the agenda for our next meeting?
Yeah, I intend to.
Okay, so is this one we request that it be placed on the next agenda for us to discuss that?
We will do so. Yes.
I also responded to her, and I guess I'm putting in a request for it to be agendized for the next meeting for us to discuss. Specifically, the communication had to deal with the basketball courts at Palmer Park being used after 8 p.m. and some of the measures that the department would be taking to address that issue. So I'd like to bring that to the next commission meeting if possible, please. Is that it?
Are there any other comments?
I think we all agree.
President Michaels, Commission members, I do have some announcements to make during this item, some events that are taking place between now and the next meeting. The Cool Days Thanksgiving Camp is taking place, it started today through the 22nd at Pacific Community Center. Registration for winter camps began on November 13th. Winter camp dates are December 26th through the 29th for Session 1, and Session 2 is January 2nd through the 5th. So on November 23rd is Thanksgiving. All city offices are closed. All community centers are also closed except for rentals, and there will be no congregate meals served. The next day on November 24th, in observation of Thanksgiving, all city offices will be closed, but all community centers will be open for regular hours, but no congregate meals will be served that day. On November 30th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we have a Glendale fair housing workshop for property owners and managers at Pacific Community Center. The holiday tree lighting ceremony is taking place on November 30th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at City Hall Plaza. On November 2nd from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., we're offering Bird Walk on the Riverwalk at Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. December 6th, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., we have a Grandma Classic Toy Drive in front of the Alex Theater. December 8th from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., we have a teen night out at Pacific Community Center. We have a teen workshop that same day entitled Gender, Sexuality, and Media at Pacific Community Center. The Fiesta de las Luminarias will be taking place on December 9th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Casa Adobe de San Rafael. At the Doctor's House Museum, they're offering candlelight tours of the museum on December 9th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Club Maple Holiday Party is taking place on December 14th from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Maple Park Community Center. We're offering Friday Night Lights at Verdugo Skate Park on December 15th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Parents Night Out, December 15th, 6:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Pacific Community Center. And a Parents Day Out, also at Pacific Community Center on December 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The annual Holiday Tea and Japan Culture Day is taking place at Brand Park Tea House on December 17th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And then we're back on December 18th for another commission meeting at 2:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. For more information, the public can call 818-548-2000 or visit www.glendaleca.gov/residents/calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. I just did want to add, I don't have children, so I'm not a Parents' Night Out patron yet, but I did learn that the Montrose Shopping Park Association has been a sponsor of the Parents' Night Out at Spar Heights for some time, and I would just want to acknowledge their efforts. Thank you. The next item?
Next is oral communications. I don't have any cards. Item 5, consent items at A, approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on October 16, 2017. And 5B is approval of the minutes of the commission special meeting held on October 20th, 2017. You could either move them together or separately.
I will move it for both of them together.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Or a roll
Everyone's
call?
okay. Commissioners Asatrian,
Yes.
Alfayan?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
Wu?
Yes.
President Michaels?
Yes.
Item 6, action items. At A, motion directing staff regarding the rescheduling of the January and February 2018 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission regular meetings.
I will move it. I think it's a good idea.
I wanted to ask a question. I'm wondering if there's any way we could have the meetings a little later, because I feel like public people can't come at this hour, and I don't know if that's possible or not.
President Michaels, Commissioner Wilson, are you suggesting the commission meeting, so from 2:30 to later in the evening? Is that what you're suggesting?
Maybe start later.
Okay. I know that all the commission meetings are assigned at certain hours. We can definitely look into it to see if that's possible. I'm not sure that that's set by either an administrative code or set just by the city manager's office. It's never been asked before, but we'll definitely look into it and get back to you.
Okay, just in case public members, that have to work or be in school or something, they can't really come at this time.
And some of the challenges are other commissions start at 5, and so that's why we need to end by 4:30 or so. But
I
like
understand.
Ashley said, we could look into it.
Thank you.
I would suggest if there is a special need for it, we can meet as an emergency meeting for it, if that's the case, if there is an issue.
Just raising it, I don't know, just thought I'd raise the point.
I believe, given the communication that we received today, the commission is responsive, looking at the special meeting we held for Duke Magian. If there are issues that come up, we will make sure to try and accommodate schedules. But I think looking into schedules is appropriate.
The next item is item 6, action items. I'm sorry, that's not correct. Actually, we were still in 6A, weren't we? Apologize. So we need a motion.
We have a motion.
I have a motion.
Fine. Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Wolfson. Commissioners Asatrian,
Yes.
Alfayan?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
Wu?
Yes.
President Michaels?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is item 7, reports information only at A Sports Complex Annual Report.
Good afternoon, President Michaels and members of the Commission. I'm Gabrielle Golia, the Senior Community Services Supervisor over the sports section. I'm here today to talk to you about our annual report of the Glendale Sports Complex. This is a really beautiful picture of it with snow in the background, unlike our 90-degree Thanksgiving this coming week. So the Glendale Sports Complex is comprised of 3 softball and / baseball fields and 2 artificial turf soccer fields. It's open daily from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. for non-permitted walkers and small groups of participants. So that would be a group of participants under 5, if there is no other reservation on the field. Plus, we have rentals to any group over 5 who wants a guaranteed time, and our city softball leagues and soccer leagues. We also have a meeting room and an outdoor patio area. The sports staff receives and processes the facility reservations for all of the fields at the complex and the meeting room, plus 12 outlying fields in Glendale. We also coordinate the adult softball, soccer, and basketball leagues and some softball tournaments out of the office here at the Glendale Sports Complex. And then in addition to the rentals and leagues, there's a master's soccer program for adults over 40 years of age, which takes place on weekday mornings. These are some pictures of our softball fields. And a nice picture of our artificial turf soccer fields. We have done a little bit of construction since then. We refurbished the fields, and the track around the outside is now gray instead of red, but this is still indicative of what our soccer fields look like. In addition to the field rentals, we also have 2 trails available to the public for general exercise, hiking, and mountain biking. The yellow trail that you see there is our Catalina Verdugo Trail. It originates on both sides of the complex. You can access it from either side, and it meanders in and out of the canyons in the San Rafael Hills. It's an easy grade, and it completes a loop by returning back to the complex on the other side. So our hikers or mountain bikers can leave their car in the sports complex parking lot and do the little 2.25-mile loop and come back to their car. It's a nice little break. And then the red trail that you see there around the outside of the soccer field is our Mountain Dew Trail. It is an ADA accessible multi-use trail, and it accommodates anybody who would like to use that. We have some exercise equipment in 2 little breakout areas along that trail. They're passive exercise equipment. The trails were opened in June of 2013. The largest source of revenue for the Glendale Sports Complex is field rentals. Rental revenue in 2016-17 was $480,633. Revenue did increase by a little over $14,000 this fiscal year, so we are seeing an increase in the number of rentals. Out of 365 days, the soccer fields had a reservation on it 363 days of the year. We usually don't get reservations on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. But Christmas Day, we still have people out there. And Thanksgiving is very popular. We have a lot of rentals this week. We are in the final stages of negotiations with St. Francis High School right now to convert field number 1 into an artificial turf baseball field. It will be a multi-use field with both baseball and a U12 soccer field on it. We do expect that our rental revenue will go up with that because we can put soccer on it more days of the year, and AYSO is very excited about that. Our adult slow pitch softball league is very popular. We play every day except Saturday on our softball fields. We use the 2 softball fields at the Glendale Sports Complex, numbers 2 and 3, as well as Montrose and Glorieta for our adult softball leagues. This year we had 432 teams registered, and we had two tournaments with 29 teams total. We also offer our adult men's soccer league on Thursday nights and Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings are not quite as popular. We usually have 10 teams on Thursday nights and 5 teams on Saturday mornings for a total of 20 spaces offered annually. Master Soccer is a fun program. This is our program for adults 40 years and over. On Wednesdays and Fridays, we offer it for anybody over 40 years. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have it only for adults over 60 years of age. So in 2016-17, we had 16 unique participants. We do ask that every participant purchase an activity card, and then they pay a $2 per day fee to play casual drop-in soccer. We did decrease by 10 activity cards this fiscal year compared to last year. They were all in our senior age group, over 60 years of age. We think that people are aging out of the program. So our total revenue for the year was almost $800,000, just shy of $800,000. And our expenditures were $702,084. So we had a net revenue of $95,618 at the Glendale Sports Complex. So we used to have grant money coming in that we would pull every year. The grant money is still there, but we haven't been taking anything out of it for the construction of the complex. And we are still operating in the black without the grant money. We reach out to the community through our department newsletter, our city department website, and word of mouth. We have a waiting list for reservations on the soccer fields year-round. So at this point in time, increased marketing would create a longer waiting list for people, so we've kept it at this level of marketing. If you would like to check availability for reservations, we ask the public to please call 818-548-6420. And that's the end of my presentation. I can answer any questions.
I have a question. You mentioned community room in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see anything. Is it large or how is it? I've never been at the community room.
It's a small room. It's a classroom style. We can seat approximately 40 people in the room maximum in a theater style setting. It's usually used by our youth groups to have a breakout session. If it's really hot, they might go in there to take a break and cool off. It is air conditioned. They also have meetings, so some of the softball teams may use it to go over their plays, or the soccer teams, and the youth groups like to use it for their commission meetings.
Approximately how many square foot it is, approximately?
300.
So it's small.
It's
really
a small room,
Okay.
yeah.
And
about
then you
300.
mentioned you need more, at the sports complex, there is a need for more soccer fields. Do we have any expansion plans? Phase 1, phase 2?
President Michaels, members of the commission, we have currently at the sports complex, no, there are no plans to expand. We are working on 4 soccer fields, one at Wilson Middle School, one at Cerritos Elementary, one at Fremont, and then one at Sports Complex Field 1. That's the joint use agreement that we're going to be having with St. Francis. We're working on a 20-year agreement with them for them to take over the operation of the facility, and they'll include a U12 soccer field as well as a baseball field.
But we do have the space there, right?
We do have a couple sites. We have Site A and Site C and Site D. We're looking into those areas, but the bottom line is the access, how we're going to access it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Can you give us an update as to how we're doing with the batting cage? Any updates on that?
Sure, President Michaels and Commissioner Wu. At this point in time, our batting cage request for proposals is being reviewed by our legal team. The plan is that we will go out with this RFP in order to find someone to operate the batting cage, a vendor who might be able to operate the batting cage. We'd like their input on the equipment that is purchased for it. So as soon as we have that operator on contract, we will work on the design and implementation of the batting cage.
So at the present time, we don't have a vendor nor an expected date of opening or operational date.
Not yet, not yet.
Thank you.
Is this RFP separate from the concessionaire's contract at other sites, or are they tied together?
President Michaels, the RFP for this site would include the operation of the batting cage, the future batting cage, as well as the concessionaire snack bar at the sports complex. We don't have concessionaire contracts for snack bars at other sites. We rent those to our youth leagues in the small parks, the little snack shacks. But this would be a standalone concessionaire for the sports complex operations.
More specifically, the vending contract, would that fall under the same limitations as that contract, and when would that be implemented?
President Michael, sorry, it would not be tied to the vending contract. It wouldn't be the same concessionaire in that sense. This would be standalone. I'm not 100% sure how we would do the nutritional content. I know that's part of the vending contract for the citywide parks. We have talked about and certainly incorporating in the healthy choices into this contract when we're able to procure a vendor for it.
President Michaels, members of the commission, the vending contract is expiring in April, and Public Works is working on a new RFP, and they have included staff from Parks to sit on the panel. And we're hoping that they would provide us the healthy options, only the healthy options as part of the new contract.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 7B, Summer Aquatics Program Report.
Good afternoon, President Michaels, members of the Commission. My name is Courtney Maglio. I'm a Community Services Coordinator with the city, and I run the Summer Aquatics Program. The Summer Aquatics Program was formally developed in the year 2000 in response to the community's demand for additional summer programming. At that time, the department operated the existing Pacific Pool, as well as programming at 3 of our local high schools. At the conclusion of that summer, the existing Pacific Pool was demolished to make way for the Pacific Edison project. At that time, the city continued to operate the 3 high school pools until 2011, when the city opened the existing Pacific Community Pool. And although the programs at the 3 high schools are not have not continued because we still operate our swim team and water polo program out of Hoover High School for practices. Otherwise, the rest of our programming is operated here at Pacific Pool. This current picture is a setup of how it would be for a swim meet that we hosted. That's why you see flags and lane lines. The program has a variety of elements that are included: recreation swim, lap swim, instructional lessons. We have swim team and water polo. We have a junior lifeguard academy. We offer a variety of special events. We do reservations for private parties. And then we also operate 5 wading pools in the local parks that are operated both on a regular basis and also available for rental. Our program dates annually are from Memorial Day through the end of September. And we have expanded programming that's operated during the GUSD break when the majority of kids are out of school. And then beginning Labor Day through the end of September, we're open weekends only on a consistent basis for rec swim, as well as continued rental options. Our wading pools are offered, like I said, 5 local parks. We operate those Monday through Thursday from 12 to 6, and then Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays from 1:30 to 6:30, 2 days a week on a rotating basis. And so parents can bring their children 8 years and younger to these local wading pools, and they can splash around for free. It's got a lifeguard as well as chlorinated water. These are entrance fees for the Pacific Community Pool. And we, in addition to offering daily fees, we also offer unlimited entry fees. So if somebody was interested in recreation swim and or lap swim, they would be able to potentially purchase a unlimited entry pass. And on the right-hand side, you can see what was sold this past summer in unlimited entry.
Is that per month or per year, or?
Per summer.
Oh, for the,
So for the entire summer season that we're open, yes.
thank you.
Okay, so this is a wonderful picture of people in the water enjoying the pool. We offer recreation swim on a daily basis. During the GUSD break, when we do have expanded programming, there's some expanded time as well. Our average attendance is 184 people. Our total summer attendance was just over 16,000 this year, which is a little bit up from last year. Our swim lessons, we offer swim lessons throughout the entire summer. We do 2 types of classes. We have Monday through Thursday classes that are 25 minutes each. We also do Friday, Saturday, Sunday classes in order to attempt to accommodate working parents. Those are 3 days each week for a total of 6 classes, 35 minutes each. This year, the department initiated or offered both resident and non-resident rates. As you can see, the youth lessons were $40, whereas a non-resident cost was $55, and that's per 2-week session. And adults, similarly, the resident rate was $55, and the non-resident rate was $70. During the 2017 season, there were 330 non-resident registrations taken. That resulted in an additional $4,680 in additional revenue in comparison to previous years when there was no non-resident rate charged. So our swim lesson and junior lifeguard participation, our swim lesson program is very popular. This summer we had 2,775 spaces enrolled. The average class size is 7. This year, out of all of our swim lessons, both morning, evening, and weekend, we were 96% filled. And so if we have extra classes that need coverage, we would staff them with an additional instructor. This year, our Junior Lifeguard Academy, we offered 2 sessions with a total of 27 participants. That's up from last year's 19 participants. So that's one of the ways that we're helping to address our need for lifeguards. We also offer, as I mentioned, a swim team and a water polo team for youth. Our swim team is called the Glendale Gators. This summer we had 102 participants. Our water polo team is called the Glendale Water Polo Bears, and this year we had 46 participants. The program fee for that is $75, and that's for the entire season, and that includes their practices as well as attending meets and games. And this program is supported by grant funding by the LA84 to help subsidize some of the costs for the equipment that we provide for the kids participating. And in addition to their hosting various meets and games, we are, as a city, invited to their end of season championship water polo meet games, as well as championship swim meets. So those are always a great treat for the kids because they're really organized and wonderful meets for them to participate in. Our wading pool program, as I mentioned, is for 8 years and under, and it's free during the hours of operation. They're available for private rental, and that program has become extremely popular. This year we had 117 private rentals, resulting in $19,478 in revenue generated specifically for that. Our department did project a revenue for wading pools of $25,000. We were slightly down from that, and that's because we changed the hours of operation. So we did not used to be open to the public for wading pools on weekends, but we changed that back in last summer, 2016. As a result, there's less time available on weekends for rentals, and so our rentals went down. We'll be adjusting that for next year's budget to align more with what the actual rental trends are. And let's see, this is a breakdown of the overall summer season revenue. So you can see that the swim lessons are our biggest portion of revenue, with just over $95,000. Recreation swim, as you saw from our fees, because that's very affordable, even though we had over 16,000 entries, the revenue is about $25,000. And then the miscellaneous pool rentals that we had at Pacific Pool resulted in $13,180. Swim team and water polo registration resulted in $9,255. Concession sales, about $4,200. The LA84 grant was $4,295, and we had a small chunk that we made off of filming. So the total revenue was $152,304. The allocated budget for out of the general fund is $296,315. That includes $204,863 for salaries and benefits and $91,452 for maintenance and operations. In addition, Pacific Pool has an annual special revenue expense budget of $79,608 with projected revenues of $159,500. So outside of this, the only other thing is that the LA84, the department received approximately $3,700 in-kind merchandise from LA84 in addition to the actual funds that we received. The in-kind donations are things like swim caps, goggles, water polo, balls, things that are required for actual participation in the program. And then with regards to community outreach, we have a department newsletter. We have a web page that's specifically dedicated to aquatics that's also linked obviously through the city's web page, and it's part of the city's web page. And then we do send out information in the Thursday folder when prior to our big registration in May, just to get people aware that aquatics is coming up and they would like to check it out. We have information typically posted by May 1st for the upcoming season. And then with regards to areas of improvement, there's some things that have shifted over the years. One of the things that we're looking at doing this year, one of the things that we did this year is we offered online registration. So after the start of the summer and we got our big registrations taken, then we offered online registration. And as a result of how successful that was, we're looking at potentially doing all online registration next year, although we would be offering something to accommodate for parents who were still uncomfortable with that, where they would be able to come to a site on the designated day and time, and we could assist them with registering. We could help them get logged in. If there was a password issue, we could assist them with that. That way there would be smooth sailing for anybody who was interested in doing online as well. And then with regards to increased hours of operation, we are considering extending the hours of operation past dark. Up to this point, our hours have ended right about dusk. But with new deck and in-water lights installed, we're examining the budget to request additional funding for increased hours of operation. And this will be discussed as part of the mid-year budget adjustments or next year's budget process. With regards to improved staff recruitment, it's been a nationwide trend to have a shortage of lifeguards, and there's a variety of contributing factors to that. Glendale has not skated free from that issue. So we're working to do some additional recruitment to ensure that we have enough staff to operate the program. And one of the things that we're doing now, in addition to offering the junior lifeguard class, is also to offer pre-summer and post-summer potential lifeguard training classes, where we are actually providing certifications for people so that they are certified and can apply either with us or wherever they'd like. And then lastly, with regards to preventative maintenance, now the pool is 7 years old. So since we operated in 2011, we've been able to utilize a facility that's been nice and tip-top shape. But as things decline, we're looking at repair, preventing things from becoming even worse with regards to either the equipment or the plumbing. And so we're looking at doing that in the off-season and addressing the normal wear and tear so that we have a facility that's up and ready to use come next summer. That's the conclusion of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a quick question. In the report, you guys, it shows summer of 2016 and then summer of 2017. And then obviously the numbers went up. Do we have any numbers for summer of 2015 to kind of also use that as a comparison?
We do. Typically, I think we bring, I can let Teresa take that one. Oh, typically, I think we bring just last year and this year for reference purposes, but we have all of the attendance figures. And so if there's other numbers that you're looking at seeing, or if you're looking at seeing more of a trend, we can certainly provide that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would just like to see how we went from 15, 16. Obviously, I see growth and maybe
Is
even...
this with regards to attendance?
Yeah.
Or which
in the
page are you?
report, page 5, the Pacific Pool revenue sources.
Oh, with regards to the revenue sources.
Commissioner Wu, we could provide that information, provide multiple years if that's what you'd like to see for future reports as far as aquatics, or we could bring back that number next time. So yes, but typically we provide the last 2 years for comparison purposes, but we do have that information, so we'd be happy to include it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Following that, do you see an increasing trend that would support the concept of expanding the hours? Is attendance increasing from opening the pool in 2011?
It's only increasing to the point that it can increase, in that the pool space is utilized from early morning until dark, and we already have high levels of participation. So it's not that we would necessarily be increasing participation during those existing times as much as it would be offering expanded time so that either additional people or programming could take place, or that it would not be such an overwhelming thing all day, every day, and it would spread the usage out. But I would anticipate, based on the trend, that there would be participation in whatever additional programming we offered based on what we've seen thus far.
No, I understand there's a limit as far as the pool capacity. I'm just wanted to see a trend that would support expanding the hours, and it seems like that trend is there.
I would say it is.
President Michaels, yes, we also do hear from the community that they would like more time in the pool, and so based on the number of hours we have available during our operations currently, it's kind of hard to fit any more rec time or any more lessons. So because we have heard from many that would like to, we are looking at expanding those hours.
Thank you.
I have a question, if I may, about safety of the pool. Have you had any accidents or any surprises this summer?
Not this summer, no. Not serious accidents. There's always minor things that occur, scrapes and bee stings and general first aid type things. There's also they're called active drownings that occur where typically a child would be in the water and they'd get to an area where if they're not a proficient swimmer, they'd get to an area where they lose their footing, and so our lifeguards identify that and jump in and quickly get them. But that's typical. And so there was nothing of any significance this year, thankfully, in terms of any safety issues.
Thank you. Good job.
Next item, please.
Next on the agenda is 7C, Youth and Family Services Annual Report.
Good afternoon, President Michaels, members of the Commission, City staff. My name is Sabah Garabedian, Senior Community Services Supervisor with the Community Services and Parks Department. I'll be presenting the Youth and Family Services 2016-17 Annual Report. So the Youth and Family Services section in the department was created in 2001 and as a part of its mission to provide human services to the community, identifying at-risk youth and their families and provide various resources for them as they need to address their issues in their day-to-day lives in conducting their household duties in Glendale. The program staff are based out of Pacific Community Center, where the program also operates its Teen Night Out programs. Program hours are typically weekdays from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. However, program staff is flexible to accommodate a working parent's needs to meet with staff or a child's availability due to school or any other commitment. The program is available for youth up to 17 years of age, parents, guardians, and siblings of that youth as well as there's some adults that are transitioning out of foster care ages 18 to 21, and where appropriate, we cater to those adults as well. Youth and Family Services has multiple components that comprise its holistic approach to case management and tries to involve the family members as well as the client in education, prevention, and intervention programs. Program staff track 5 key components: teen drop-in and teen night out, educational workshops, case management, service and resource referrals, and teen volunteers. And here are the numbers for 2016-17 as compared to the previous fiscal year. So what you see is a steady rate at 595 participants duplicated for Teen Night Out, while educational workshops has increased significantly. Case management has been on the decline just slightly, and service referrals have increased, while teen volunteers, which the section was not tracking the previous year, they've started tracking this year. Here's a breakdown of some of the referrals in terms of residency. From what you can see here, about 242 of those referrals were Glendale residents, while 35 were not, for a total number of 277 residents served. And you can see the ages anywhere from 0 to 69. Just because somebody is out of the Youth and Family Services age range doesn't mean we're not going to help that customer. We'll still refer them out whenever we can, whenever we are able to, in terms of the service they're looking for. And here's the breakdown of where we issue our referrals. About 15% come back within our department, whether it's at-risk youth or low-income youth looking for a job, so we refer them out to Glendale Youth Alliance, for example. 40%, the big chunk, goes out back to Glendale Unified School District, and then you can see other agencies and local partners as well. Now, the benefit of this is Youth and Family Services section has a social services resource guide, and that's a manual that we have. It's about 70 pages, depending on how you print it, up to 140 pages of various agencies that provide all the services that these families may be looking for. So Youth and Family Services contacts them once a year, updates their information, puts it in the resource guide, and based on that resource guide, we offer out our services. Now, if there's an agency that isn't listed in that resource guide, they contact us and we update our guide immediately and then put it back up on our website. Here you can see the types of referrals, and the big number there is 52% of the people that have contacted us are looking for volunteering opportunities for youth. Most of our kids are required to do community service hours for their graduation as part of their graduation requirement. So about 52% of the phone calls received were for community service. And then the next big chunk is court-ordered mandated, court-mandated community service hours for teens. And here the chart says court, but it could also be their high school probation officer requesting that they provide, they conduct 30 hours or 40 hours of community service as part of their process as well. So that number is also combined in there. In terms of case management, we're talking about our JUST clients, our Juvenile Ultimatum Service training clients. And for them, it's the ones that we process as volunteers. They come through the high schools, whether it's our SART meetings or outreach meetings. They get referred to us. They need to do their community service hours, and they need to provide proof of that service to a courtroom or their probation officer upon completion. We take a balanced and restorative approach. We emphasize on learning and protection, and basically developing the youth and putting them back in a more positive way, other than what they're accustomed to. It's different from going to the sheriff's department and working in the horse stables as opposed to coming to Pacific Community Center. The offenses that we typically see are curfew violations, possession of tobacco, alcohol, drugs, assault, vandalism, theft, truancy. Some of it's minor, some of it's major. The major ones we do have them processed through our volunteer program. So if there's a red flag that comes up and we don't want them in our community center working alongside just the general public or during our day camp program, whatever, then we will tell them that unfortunately we cannot accommodate. So they are screened. Youth and Family Services section is also responsible for Teen Night Out, which takes place every other week at Pacific Community Center. Here's our upcoming program flyer and the dates. Teen Night Out takes use of the community center on Friday evenings when the community center is otherwise not being used for anything else typically other than badminton. The teens are able to access the billiards room or the recreation room, which also has a ping pong table and a shuffleboard table in the back. We have a PlayStation that we bring out, and we have a karaoke machine as well. And in collaboration with the library department, we also offer additional programming such as an art component to the kids as well. And they come, they do their thing. Some of them are volunteering, so they come set up for the snacks for that evening. Some of them, again, are those just clients, and those clients have to attend those meetings, whether it's cleaning up after the event or cleaning up and setting up the rooms for those events. That's how we get them to do their hours. Here's some pictures of our Teen Night Out workshops. And these are offered in conjunction with the Teen Night Out events. So when we have Teen Night Out, we'll offer a workshop simultaneously. So if Teen Night Out is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., the workshop will be from 6 to 7 p.m., and we'll have a guest speaker come and present to the kids. Here's a list of topics that we typically present during Teen Night Out, and it's usually one topic each time we have a workshop. The section is also responsible for the teen photo contest. It says Teen Night Out Photo Contest. It's open to Teen Night Out participants or any participant who's interested. And what the staff do is identify some topic points, and we encourage the teens to submit photos based on that topic, a typical night in Glendale or something along those lines. And then the kids come, they vote for their favorite photos based on the categories. Department staff will also vote for those photos, and the winners will get a prize. So the picture here is the winners from 2016 attending an LA Galaxy game. Youth and Family Services, in coordination with our volunteer coordinator for the department, also rallies the troops when it's time for volunteers for various city or department-wide special events. So our Teen Night Out or our team volunteers have contributed to the following programs, such as the Palmer Park Grand Opening, Summer Day Camps, Vertigo Mountains 10K, National Night Out, Spring Extravaganza, Earth Day, Cesar Chavez event, and they've also gone to a Heal the Bay event, which isn't a department event, but they've participated in it, and they've participated in a couple of Riverwalk cleanup events as well. Here's those partnerships that we mentioned. These are the ones that we work with on a daily basis, I want to say. Whether it's Glendale Unified School District to Friday Night Live, GYA. If it wasn't for these agencies trusting us and our program because it's established, we wouldn't get the clientele or the referrals. And on the flip side, we refer out to them as well. And the way we track is when a client contacts us and says, I'm looking for this, and we give them a referral, we'll call that agency and say, just a heads up, this person's going to be coming back to you. Please let us know what happens, what the status is. And that pretty much concludes my presentation. For more information, the public could call Jackie Baliton, who's our community services specialist responsible for the program. Her phone number is listed over there. Any questions?
Would you mind going back to the slide that had the topics for the workshops? So one of the recommendations I'd like to make on that is, there's been an increase in suicide amongst teens, as well as discussing mental health issues. But given the topic matters, I think a lot of teens would be hesitant to attend something that is actually marked as suicide prevention or discussing mental health issues. But there are a lot of wonderful topics that are on there that you can somehow incorporate the suicide prevention and the mental health issues and addressing mental health issues within those other topics, including leadership development and the healthy relationships and the college and so forth. I think it's a topic that's not very much discussed in these platforms, and so incorporating into that allows for us to educate our youth about those issues without really making them feel like they're coming to just seek help on those. Thank you.
Absolutely. President Michaels, Commissioner also there, and we'll definitely incorporate that in the upcoming workshops. Any other questions?
If there's no other questions, very good. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is 7D, section activity reports. At 1 is recreation and community services.
President Grant, members of the commission, the recreation activity report is in your packets. If you have any questions, please let us know. But I do like to move forward, if it's okay, to the park services report. Coco has worked on a slide, and he would like to highlight some good work that his section has done the last few months.
Are there any comments on the report? Okay.
Great work.
That would be item 7D2, park services.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Michaels and members of the commission. The past month, October, we completed 339 work orders, 271 by groundskeepers, 3 work orders related to pesticide application, 65 work orders with the irrigation repair crew for a total of 1,360 labor hours. The presentation here encompasses a couple of months of projects that we've completed. First, at City Hall, at the corner of Isabel and Broadway, you may have noticed that what used to be landscape turf and a plaque in the front has now been converted into a monument. And our staff, working with Public Works, we took the challenge of removing the turf, adjusting the irrigation, allowing Public Works, our colleagues, to come in and install the monument itself. We came back, reinstalled the irrigation and the landscaping, and here's what you have, the monument to our veterans. It's along the strip of all the monuments that we have in that area. At Glorieta Park, this was a project that you had seen we undertook a couple of years ago with the wildflowers and the embankment off of Verdugo. Well, with wildflowers, you also get wild weeds. So part of this project was to get in there and clean up the weeds as best as possible, reseed with wildflowers to be able to, come spring, have a very beautiful flowering of the area yet again. And thus far, our neighbors have been very complimentary. They love the colors, and it's a little bit of extra work trying to keep this going, but it seems our staff is excited about it, and they like seeing the colors as well. So we will continue to manage this as best as we can until we get different direction. But as of now, we only got one shot of this because the fencing is up. If you're not aware, Glorieta Park is undergoing construction with the upgrades of irrigation and the lighting. Hence the fence stuff, we had only one shot of this final project for you to be able to show from outside the fence. Palmer Park, outside of the wading pool at Palmer Park, we had a little area that was accumulating water. It wasn't from the wading pool, it just naturally how everything just sloped into new driveway. There was no drainage in that area. So our staff took on the challenge of removing the concrete in the area, installing a new drainage system. And as you can see, this is the exact area where it was puddling. We installed a drain at the north end and had it flow right into the turf, and with the drainage continuing all the way to the middle of the turf, using the rainwater, whatever accumulates in that area, to water our turf. This is a completed project right before the cleanup, and here's on both ends where you see the small drain that captures the water, and will kind of guide it over the under the concrete now, over into the turf. We also had to install drainage over the south end of the park. This was one area where water was accumulating, whether it was from the rains, or just general landscape watering, because the way it slopes to the south. And so we came in and cut through the concrete in that area. This is the saw cutting of the concrete, removed it all. It was quite a bit of heavy labor. we found the storm drain that was located in the southwest corner of the basketball court. So our task was to take the water from the turf, south end of the turf, and connect it to the storm drain. And that's where the storm drain is, where you can see one of the staff's feet standing. Hence had to go in under the concrete. This is the hole where the drain is going to be connected. And after we finished testing, we put a lot of water. It was draining, as you can see, the water going down pretty smoothly. So we believe this is going to take care of the task. Of course, after it's done, staff had to come in. We installed the grate at the end to capture the water. And if you notice, this is refinished concrete as if we had not been there before. And we're hoping this is going to alleviate some of the water collecting down south end of the turf. Moving forward, Brent Park Day Camp. This project has been an ongoing project in numerous phases because we're handling this in-house. This was a day camp area that did not have irrigation. It pretty much been more for storage and supplies. And during construction of the lighting project, this was used as staging area. And with our residents coming in asking us to renovate this area, reinvigorate it as a picnic area, we started this project several months back. Last time we showed you some of the basic work of removing, clearing all the area and doing the grading. Now we're going to show you in preparation for the picnic tables coming in, what we had to do to get the concrete footing set and the bases set and the turf installed. So staff came in and created the areas, measured and created the areas where we're going to pour the concrete. What you see over there with the asphalt, our friends at Public Works created that ramp for us to make it easy to get in and out with the equipment. Once we're done with the project, that ramp is going to go. And here are the frames for the concrete benches. We're going to have about 7 picnic areas settled in this location. Here is after the frames were done and it was regraded. Here's the concrete that was poured. Follow up, we actually planted 4 trees in this area strategically to allow for shade in the picnic area. We planted three oak trees and 1 pine, Aleppo pine, because it kind of goes with the natural setting of the other trees. And these are Arbor Day trees, so folks had purchased Arbor Day trees and donated in honor of folks, and we used this opportunity to plant their Arbor Day trees in this location. And after it was done, we seeded, top dressed, and after applying some irrigation, the area you see is fenced off because we don't want the public to walk over a newly planted grass, the seeds. And here it is coming in. We have some areas that we have to reseed. That's natural with seed. And we actually had some visitors that are helping us mow the lawn. We don't have to worry about it because this family has been visiting the park on a daily basis, apparently. And you can literally tell where they've been eating the grass. Great, we don't have to put our mowers out there. But it is coming through. Still a lot of work to be done. In the next coming months, we're going to put in the tables, some benches up top, and then see about getting that driveway redone. And hopefully within the near future, in the next few months, we can open it to the public as a picnic area. Wilson Mini, you've seen a lot of projects at Wilson Mini following the restroom renovation. We did the installation of the new sod for the entire park. This was the playground area, resurfacing of the playground where we used to have wood chips. We took all the wood chips out and put in the rubberized surfacing, safety surfacing. But it's shame to let all the wood chips and mulch go to waste. So what we did is after the contractor came in, they started taking all of the mulch out. We used it for the planters in that park. But there's so much to be taken out that we had to haul some of it away, and we are using it at other facilities. We have a couple of sites that we store these at. So as the project progressed, it was a 3-day project with our staff trying to use what we exhumed from there into the playground, into the planters. We had to fence it off to keep the public from going in. We had to bring in the aggregate, which is the base for the drainage. They compact the aggregate, and then they start putting in the rubber surfacing. They actually put in the base. This is the base rubber. This is where the real soft part of the rubber is. And the way they design these is wherever the fall zones are, where it could fall from a playground, has to have a certain level of cushioning for the G-Max rating so that, they can, even if they do get hurt, there won't be any serious damage to the children. And this will be the final product. We went with earth colors to match the playground. So this should give us, about good 10 years solid, good solid surfacing and safety for the play area. Now, at the same time, as you can see, we used the mulch in the remaining the perimeter planters. If you recall this was a project we had done under the MSB we showed several months back. And we kept these plants in their little containers. We did not remove them. Because when the drought was lifted, if you notice, the fountain is functional now. We took these plants and we recycled them back into this park. So now we have those plants around the perimeter of the park. and all the planters along with the mulch from the area. So literally, Wilson Mini has become a brand new park with a new restroom, new playground surfacing, and new landscape. We also, since we had to remove one table, if you recall, I mentioned we we're going to remove one table. We had to as part of the turf installation. And we installed 2 additional ones because our residents there continued asking for tables. We created the forms and get the forming ready for the concrete to be poured. Our colleagues in Public Works poured the concrete and installed 2 additional tables. And these were strategically set, so morning you have one area that's shaded that the residents want to use, and in the afternoon they move to the other side of the park, and now they have shade throughout the day for that table. We started a project this year, in the last couple of months, of pressure washing. On Friday, we utilized one of our seasonal staff to pressure wash our picnic areas and some of our facilities, and it seems we're seeing the good results of this. We're going to continue it. This last projects, they were at Palmer Park. The picnic areas get utilized quite a bit, and it gets pretty messy with food stains and dirt and soda stains, whatever you might want to refer to get spilled. So the pressure washing does address that. Once we finish, we will have a nice, clean facility for our residents to use. And we're going to go through every facility that we do reserve and also some of our community centers and conducting this on every Friday going forth. We had over at the skate park, this is from trees, the sap from the trees falling down. After our staff has gone through it, we have a sports complex that is free of stains. Sorry, skate park, free of stains. We did the same thing around the perimeter of the building at Maple. And a lot of times, we've mentioned it before in commission, we have graffiti that is hard to remove by graffiti removers. We have to use pressure washers. Maple Park happens to be one of those facilities where we do get a lot of vandalism. Was in the picnic areas, trash cans, on the walls, anywhere you could possibly imagine there's surface, it could be tagged. So our staff go through and using the pressure washer, will clean it up and make it usable for our residents. We actually have several other projects that were completed, a couple of which you'll see in the next month's presentation. Playground safety fiber installations, you've seen those. We did it at about 7 parks the last couple of months. Pacific Ball Field is currently under renovation. It's the resting period. We did a landscaping job over at the Environmental Management Center. That you'll see next month. The Brand Park 7 Trees Trail, we installed signs, directional signs, and a bench up at the 7 Trees. You'll see that next presentation. Upcoming projects, we will be conducting Arbor Day tree planting for the next, pretty much throughout the month. We will have our holiday decorations coming up next week. We'll be re-landscaping the right outside of the Museum of Mona, Museum of Neon Arts. In that area, we're working with a community group and the Mona to their request to re-landscape the area. So we're working with the foundation to get that re-landscaped in the coming month, first week of December, as a matter of fact. We will be doing re-landscaping certain areas of the Central Library, where right now is still some bare areas, if you notice, working with project manager to do that. We're working on Car Nibley Playground, Car and Pelincone exercise equipment, large renovations at the Tea House at Brand Park. We're very excited about this. We have a delegation from Japan that is working with us. They've traveled here, helped us design it. They're going to come back in January. We're going to work together and creating the Tea House in a concept that is more suitable for the original intent of the Japanese-style tea house. So we're very excited about that. Staff's been working on this for quite some time, preparing. And we're going to continue our work at the Brand Park Day Camp. That should take us through January. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Good job. Maybe we should.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I know that we had one of the officers from GPD come during one of our past meetings to kind of give us some insight as to what issues, if any, we've had at the parks. Adding these picnic tables at Palmer Park, do you foresee any potential loitering or trespassing issues? Have we had any recent incidences at any of our parks? Is it pretty much stable? Do we have any uptick, or is there a downward trend? I mean, just wanted to see if we could get some insight to that.
President Michaels, commissioners, there's some of our parks, we do have some loitering. In terms of for Brand Park, the day camp area was closed because we did have security issues there. But since we have installed ambient lighting, the park gets lit up pretty well at nights Plus, we have a substation there, PD substation. They're using the old recreation supervisor's office, and they're there on a daily basis. So when the day camp area is complete, we would open it up. But if we see a significant amount of loitering, then we'll think of Plan B, or we'll ask PD for more patrols. We'll also see if the caretaker who lives in the park can drive around, in the evening between 6 and 10 and see if there's any activity at the day camp area. But in terms of having a police officer, we can have one of the officers in our community policing unit come by for our next meeting and talk about minor crimes that are happening in our parks. It's very minimal. PD does a very good job in enforcing loitering, trespassing. The suspension policy has helped staff tremendously. That's a tool that PD uses on a daily basis, suspending park visitors that are not following our parks rules and regulations.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments?
Not on this, but I do have comments and questions before we adjourn the meeting.
This is now.
Okay. So first and foremost, I wanted to notify everyone that's watching about the holiday trolley that the Glendale City Council approved. I think it's going to be running until January 15. I actually took it down with my nephew from up north to down south, actually to the Americana. But there was an incident at the Americana brand that happened to me personally, and I have some questions in regards to the green space, because my understanding is that the Parks and Rec Department is not the one that handles that green space specifically. So I'm not sure if these are supposed to be going to the Community Development Department. But first and foremost, is there any other green space within the city that has been transferred to another department outside of the one that's at the Americana brand?
No.
Okay, so specifically, the incident was that I had my nephew and my Jack Russell with me. We grabbed food from outside of the Americana brand, and then my nephew, who's 8 years old, wanted to have the picnic in the grass area. I was approached by a security officer noting that we couldn't have the food or the dog in the green space. I told him that is not the case. He apologized and went away. About 5 to 10 minutes later, there were two gentlemen that seemed on the administrative side that came up asking what the issue was with the security officer, and I told them, well, he's telling me that I can't have the dog or the food here. And they said okay, and they just kind of walked away. The issue is not about me or what particularly transpired with me, but had I not known that, I don't want something similar happening to other people that are using that green space. So I wanted to know how the guidelines that are placed in green spaces and all of our other parks are actually passed on to the Americana brand for them to actually train their security folks and staff properly, and then how does the city oversee that, given that it's still supposed to be a public green space. And lastly, as I was kind of walking away, of course they have the Santa's shop now, which is super awesome, but they also charge about $70 for the packages for the photos and so forth. And so I wanted to know, does any of that funding come back to the city, given that they're using the public space? And I'm pretty sure that most of these questions would have to be addressed to somebody else, but I'm not sure if there's a way through this commission for me to put in these requests, or I would need to go to the city council or the other department.
President Michaels, members of the commission, I will forward your request to the Community Development Department, and we'll see if we can answer those questions. We can either email you or directly, or have someone from the department contact you regarding your questions.
I just like to make sure that the public is aware of their rights on that space, and whatever the rules are is fine, but as long as they're kept at what the city guidelines are for our parks and green space.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there other comments?
Happy Thanksgiving. And thank you to the staff for doing an amazing job. I think that it's appropriate to thank them.
Yes, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy the time off with family. And is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
We stand adjourned.